Hey everyone, Kenjiro here with another Wednesday vlog. You might have noticed that this is not my dorm room. I'm actually back home for spring break here on the East Coast. So a little bit of background. Unfortunately, Dana was not able to post her vlog this Monday, so I will be taking up Chris's challenge of cosplaying Alexander Hamilton. Now, of course, Alexander Hamilton is a pretty tough cosplay. I mean, I would have to have the cravat, the shirt, the vest, the brown coat all ready at my disposal. Lucky for me, I came prepared. Kapow. It's tape, see? The orange part came off during BroadwayCon. So this actually works out perfectly, because today I was planning on doing a review of Hamilton's Chicago production, which I just saw this past Friday. It was a gift for myself for finishing finals. So obviously, as someone who was always a big fan of the original Broadway cast, I was a bit skeptical about this production, because how could this regional cast, many of whom are making their theatrical debuts, know anything about what makes this show so great? Boy, was I wrong. Something that really threw me off about this production was that the energy was amazing. Like, this cast felt like they were the characters. I didn't think they were some replacement actors for the original cast. I honestly thought that I was like watching Alexander Hamilton, Eliza, Aaron Burr on stage in front of me. I think the main factor in that was that they were bringing a very different energy. When I saw it on Broadway, the cast had obviously been in the role for a while, so they had the energy of people who had developed these roles. Whereas with the Chicago cast, and some of them were making their professional theater debuts, they had the energy of, I suppose you could say, a bunch of young, scrappy, and hungry, and I realize it's kind of cliche, actors who were taking on these iconic roles, and they gave it their all. They're trying to prove, look, we can do this too. We don't have to be Lin-Manuel Miranda. We don't have to be Philippa Soo. We don't have to be Leslie Odom Jr. We can match these roles. And I would call that a result of the direction of Tommy Kail. Obviously, he knew that he wasn't necessarily trying to replicate the Broadway production, because there's no way you can replicate the original cast. You can only have these other actors, and that honestly helped the show. And what was interesting about not trying to copy the original cast was that they brought these new choices to these roles. I don't want to give too much away, but Jefferson and Madison do this really funny thing during Cabinet Battle number 1 that I, as someone familiar with the Broadway production, I did not expect, and I was legitimately pleased to see them do. Like, oh, they're doing something new. That's great. Alexander Gemignani, I think, is the funniest King George, and it's a little weird because, I mean, granted, he's not an unknown Broadway actor. In fact, arguably, you could say he's one of the most prolific of the Chicago cast. I don't know, it's just, he wasn't really cast, I think, as a sort of random star power that the Broadway production has with their King Georges. I mean, Jonathan Groff, obviously, he's had his fame from Spring Awakening and Glee. Whereas Alexander Gemignani, if you're a Broadway fanatic, yeah, you probably have seen a couple of things he's been in. But I think that works all the better for King George, because King George is this sort of veteran character who's a little bit stuck up, and Alexander Gemignani was able to convey this so well. I didn't look at him on the stage and think, oh, that's Alexander Gemignani, whereas when I saw it with Andrew Reynolds and Jonathan Groff, I was thinking, oh, that's Jonathan Groff, that's Andrew Reynolds. I honestly thought Alexander Gemignani was King George. Wayne Brady honestly surprised me the most, because I know his work in Who's Lines Anyway. He's obviously more of a, I know him more for his comedy stuff, but he really portrayed Burr well. Same thing with King George. I didn't think I was watching Wayne Brady on stage playing this character. I thought I was watching Aaron Burr. I know there's some people who might be thinking, oh, well, it's the Chicago cast, but you know, it's not the Broadway production. There's no point in it. No! I swear to God, as someone who has seen the original Broadway cast, off-Broadway and on-Broadway, the Chicago production is amazing. Because the energy behind it, there's so much risk involved with these virtual unknowns playing these roles that have propelled the original Hamilton cast to stardom, where they're throwing their all into these performances, and I think with a show like Hamilton, that can only help them. So yeah, those are my ramblings on the Chicago Hamilton production. Obviously it's Hamilton, so tickets are a little difficult to get, but I suppose since it's not the Broadway production, there's a little less of demand, so they are a little easier to get than the Broadway version. And they're actually quite a bit cheaper too, so if you're in Chicago or if you're in the Midwest area, I highly recommend getting tickets to see this. So yeah, that is my video, and I will be challenging Ari to cosplay as Veronica Sawyer. I look forward to seeing that, and I will see you all in about 2 weeks.